Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my performance review of the Nike Giannis Immortality. So this is Giannis Antetokounmpo's budget shoe with Nike, and it's only 80 bucks, so it's super duper cheap. And if you guys do want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box. This colorway, the super smoothie colorway, is not available anymore, or at least it's not on Nike, so that kind of sucks, but a black and white colorway is available. Again, links are below if you guys do want to cop, but let's get it started off with the tracciones. And how is the traction? It is freaking awesome, guys. I mean, it's top tier. It's one of the best traction patterns that you can get right now. That's how good it is, right? So in this colorway, we have pretty much a two-tone colored outsole. We have a semi-translucent pink and then kind of like a peach color. And as far as the outsole pattern goes, we have a full-on herringbone traction pattern throughout this entire outsole. And on the clean cord, it's so damn good. The bite is insane. It has a nice loud squeak as well. So I really enjoyed the traction, and also on dust, it didn't really pick up any dust for me. And even if it did pick up a little bit of dust, it's just a super easy and light wipe. You know, just once, boom, and you're good to go, and you have really good traction again. And also for outdoor use, I mean, the rubber is pretty damn hard, and also there are a good amount of grooves as well. So I mean, it's only 80 bucks. So outdoor use should be good as well. So I mean, the traction pattern, whatever rubber compound Nike is using in this shoe, they need to use this rubber compound in all of their shoes, you know what I mean? But yeah, the traction is phenomenal. It's top tier. Alright, moving on to the heel to toe transition. It's also super smooth. So here in the heel, as you guys can see, the rubber comes up a lot. There's a very nice curved shape here in the heel, and it protrudes out a good amount. You know, it reminds me a lot of the Kyrie Low 3. So you have a nice rounded shape here, and then it transfers that energy here into the forefoot, which has a very nice curved shape as well. And also we have a lot of forefoot flex. Look at that. So I mean, heel to toe transition, super smooth, and also the cushion is pretty much fully exposed, so it doesn't feel super clunky or anything. So super fluid and very smooth heel to toe transition. One thing that I did notice though, I guess segueing into cushion and also a little bit of arch support, I usually don't have any issues with arch support. I do have a pretty high arch in my foot, and look at that. Right, and pretty much, I don't think there is a midfoot chain plate. The torsional support is not very good, and when I was playing in it, it hurt my arches a little bit. So if you have problems with that, you should probably stay away from this shoe. I mean, it wasn't a terrible pain or anything like that when I was playing in it, but I definitely did notice it. So just watch out for that. And now moving on to the cushioning setup, it is an $80 shoe. And when companies, especially Nike, are trying to cut back on like price, they also cut back on the tech, usually in the cushioning department as well, right? So there's nothing as far as like zoom units go, and there's nothing special about the foam. It's probably just a Phylon midsole, and it's full-length Phylon, which is awesome, right? But it's actually not that bad, right? So some really good points on this cushioning setup is it's super low to the ground. You feel very responsive. I guess impact protection is pretty good because there is a little bit of compression, especially in here in the heel. And like, it's nice because comparing it to like Kyrie's, you know, like the Kyrie 2 and the Kyrie 3, which is just rock solid, super stiff Phylon, this Phylon actually has a little bit of give. I mean, it's not that nice, you know, especially comparing to like Cushlon in like the Kobe 5 Pro Tro or the KD 14. But there is a nice little compression, and that definitely does help a little bit when you're playing, right? But like I said, it's not that nice, and don't expect like anything special from this cushioning setup. It's pretty much low to the ground, very responsive cushion with a little bit of compression here in the heel. Alright, moving on to the materials. So the materials, you pretty much have like a textile mesh or a textile material. It's extremely thin, and it conforms to your foot very well. It reminds me a lot of the KD Tre 5.8 material. So I absolutely love this material, and especially for 80 bucks. You know, I mean, like in the PG5, it's like $110, $120 shoe, right? And they're using such crappy materials. But here in the Immortalities, I actually really like it. We have a little bit of fuse here on the middle side of the toe box area, and then coming here into the midfoot is extremely thin. Like, look at how thin it is, guys. Like, it's paper thin, especially here in the midfoot as well. Coming up here into the tongue has like an average amount of padding, I would say. And then here on the bottom of the tongue, it's made of a mesh material, and also this tongue is a half booty construction tongue. Also, another thing to note, if you guys can see through the swoosh, there is a little bit of a see-through window, and this material does fold in on itself. So this material is basically double layered, giving you a little bit more support, which of course is a good thing. I wish they would extend it a little bit here into the forefoot, which we'll get into, but that is present here in the midfoot. And then coming here into the ankle area has, I guess, a little bit less than average amount of padding, I guess, but it's also not that bad. And I didn't really have any issues with heel slippage, so the heel lockdown was still pretty good for me. So the overall material quality, okay, so I mean, like here on the tongue and here in the ankle area, it's not the best. This like synthetic material isn't very nice, and like the fused material isn't very nice. I mean, I guess we do have like foam here in the ankle area on the outside of the shoe, which makes no sense, which that's cool, I guess. But the overall material that you feel on your foot, like especially here in the toe box, feels really thin, feels great on foot, super minimal, and also extremely comfortable. So I really like the materials. I had no issues with it. All right, moving on to the fit of the shoe. The fit for me was perfect. So I went true to size. Lengthwise, I would say I was good to go. There's maybe a little bit of length, just a tiny bit of length. I mean, if I went down half a size, it would be way too short for me. And also here in the toe box, it is pretty damn snug, but it's definitely not as snug as when I first got it, right? So like I keep saying, this material is super comfortable and very, very thin. And it's like a textile material. It doesn't really feel glued down or anything. So it definitely did stretch out. So if the fit here in the toe box is snug for you, just give it a little bit of time to break in and the fit will loosen up a little bit here in the toe box. And width-wise, I would say it's slightly narrow. So overall, the fit was really good for me. And also, here in the heel, we have a nice heel tab as well. So the shoe is really easy to put on. All right, moving on to support and lockdown, right? So support and lockdown for lateral containment, it was actually not that bad for me. So for me personally, I am a very light guy. So here in the forefoot, there's really no type of lateral counter. I mean, the only thing that's preventing your forefoot from coming out of the footbed is just this thin material, and it's not like super supportive. And like I mentioned before, that double layered material that's underneath this Nike swoosh is just in the midfoot. So the forefoot containment, I would say it wasn't the best, but also it wasn't terrible, right? I feel like if you're heavier and you do a lot of lateral movements and you're super shifty, you definitely should watch out for that. And for me personally, I felt my foot coming out of the footbed just a tiny bit, but not to the point where it was like a deal breaker, right? And I was playing in this shoe and then versus like the Zoom Freak 2 and then like the Zoom Freak 3 and like the same runs, like switching shoes out. And I definitely did notice the Immortalities being less supportive for lateral containment. So that does kind of suck, but like I said, it wasn't a huge issue for me. So for lateral containment, for me personally, it was adequate. But like I said, if you're a heavier dude, just be careful. Now moving on to lateral stability, I had no issues with that. You know, we have, it's not really an outrigger, but I guess the outsole and midsole do protrude out here in the forefoot. So I felt laterally stable and you are low to the ground. All right, moving on to the weight of the shoe. If I remember correctly, this shoe is extremely, extremely light, right? I'm guessing like 10 ounces, right? Yeah, so 10.37 ounces, extremely light shoe. Does it feel light? Yeah, it feels really light. It feels very, very minimal on foot as well. There's not a whole lot of padding and this material is extremely thin. The foam, there's really nothing protruding out besides, I guess, here in the heel, like back of the heel, but that doesn't make the shoe feel too bulky or anything. And then the traction is really, really good, right? So when you're playing in the shoe, you feel really quick, very, very light on your feet. And I really liked it, you know, cushion, very responsive, traction, really good. Support, you know, for lateral containment here in the forefoot could have been a little bit better, but it wasn't a deal breaker for me. So I really liked how the shoe felt when I was playing in it. All right, moving on to the ventilation. Ventilation is really good. As far as airflow goes, there is, I mean, okay, so first of all, it's not like super glued down or anything. You can see through kind of like this diamond shape. So when you blow through it, there is a little bit of airflow and the material is super thin, so it doesn't really keep in all that heat too well. So ventilation is actually pretty damn good in this shoe. All right, moving on to the aesthetics. It looks awesome, you know, and a lot of you guys said on Instagram that this shoe looks way better than the Zoom Freak 3, and I do agree with you guys. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, 80 bucks, the Giannis Immortality is a banger, guys, and nice. I don't know how Nike's doing it, but Nike's making some really, really good performing budget shoes, right? Like the Precision 5 is really good. Even the LeBron Witness 5 was good. So the Giannis Immortality, I feel like if you're a guard and you want an extremely light, very minimal feeling shoe that you can feel really, really responsive in, this is a great option. If you're looking for cushion or anything like that, you should probably stay away from it. And if you're looking for a shoe that has a really, really good support, also stay away from the shoe. But other than that, this is a phenomenal shoe, and I'm sure most people will enjoy it because I did as well. So anyways, that about concludes this review of the Nike Giannis Immortality. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box, but that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.